Hi, welcome back. It's now time for our read aloud. We will be reading Chapter 2 in our small reader, Introduction to Ecology. Please follow along with us.
Before we start, we need to go over our vocabulary. A food chain is a relationship of living things as food sources for other living things. Sapling is a young tree. Mighty is large in size. Wander means to move around without a particular direction or purpose. Nutrient, a vitamin or mineral that helps living things stay healthy. Protect, to keep safe from harm. Predator, an animal that lives by hunting other animals. Defense, a way to protect against harm. Prey, animals that are hunted by other animals for food. Microscopic, can only be seen with a microscope. And apex, the top point.
Chapter 2, Food Chains. Now you know something about squirrels and oak trees. Each has something to offer to the other. The tree may produce thousands of acorns each year, but only a few will actually sprout and become saplings. Of those saplings, only a couple will survive and grow into mighty oaks, spreading their roots and changing with the seasons. The rest of the acorns will be eaten by one creature or another. Deer eat them sometimes, and so do various birds that wander through the forest, such as turkeys and woodpeckers. The acorns that aren't eaten will get covered by leaves, soaked by rain, and frozen by snow. If they aren't eaten by worms or other underground things, some of them will sprout into saplings. And our caption says, sometimes deer will eat acorns.
In the forest ecosystem, living things depend on one another. Many living things depend on trees for shelter and food. You can almost certainly find bugs on any tree. Woodpeckers can find them too. If you dig down into the soil or scrape away some tree bark, you will discover all sorts of other critters in the forest ecosystem, such as worms, beetles, and ants. You might not see all those insects and other little critters when you look around the forest, but they are there. You can find them under leaves, rocks, and fallen trees. Mostly, their world is underground and out of sight, unless you are willing to get dirty digging for them. And our caption says, beetles live in the forest ecosystem.
What are all those bugs doing there? They are doing what all living things do, surviving. To survive, living things need food. The nutrients in food provide energy for the body. Without energy, the body stops. It's that simple. What else are bugs and other living things doing besides eating? They are doing whatever it is they need to do in order to produce young. Plants make seeds. Mammals, such as squirrels and deer, give birth to live babies. Bugs and birds lay eggs. Spiders make egg sacs like the one in this image. When the sac opens, hundreds of tiny baby spiders will run out. Most of them will be eaten by other bugs. Those that survive will grow to be hunters like their parents. Living things also must develop ways to protect themselves from other things in the ecosystem. Squirrels build their nests high in trees, away from predators. Worms dig down into the soil. Snails and turtles have shells to protect them. Unfortunately for squirrels, worms, snails, and turtles, these defenses do not always work. The predators that hunt and eat other animals for a living have sharp teeth and claws for catching their prey. And our caption says, spiders make egg sacs like this one.
There are ecosystems in many places. Each ecosystem has its own food chain. Look at the image of the wolf, the deer, and the acorn. This is a very simple way to think of the food chain. Smaller animals are eaten by slightly larger animals. But this image only represents a small part of a real food chain. Most food chains also include plants. They also include bacteria and other tiny microscopic organisms. Plants and smaller animals are usually near the bottom of the food chain. At the top of the food chain, you will find beasts like grizzly bears, lions, blue whales, or great white sharks. These animals are too big to be hunted by anything else. A lion or shark is called an apex predator because it is at the top of the food chain. And the photo is a food chain.
Alrighty, it's time for some follow-up questions. Number 1, what happens to the acorns that aren't eaten by the animals in the forest?
What happens?
I don't know. Maybe they stay there on the ground?
Oh, I could see that happening.
Yeah. And then our next one says, read the following statements. You're going to write true or false and write the page number that has the answer. So you have to tell us if a worm is an apex predator, true or false. There are no hidden creatures in the forest ecosystem. Small animals are eaten by slightly larger animals. All food chains include plants. When a spider's egg sac opens, 2 tiny spiders emerge. So make sure you pause the video and write these down in your journal and then come back to find out the answers. Pause.
Welcome back.
Congratulations. All right, let's see what happens to the acorns that aren't eaten by the animals in the forest. So, leftover acorns will get covered by leaves, rain, or snow. Some will sprout, and you can find that on page 12.
Woo!
Good job. For the next one, let's find out if they're true or false and what page number. So, a worm is an apex predator. That was false. And you can find that on page 18. There are no hidden creatures in the forest ecosystem. That was also false. You can find that on page 14. Small animals are eaten by slightly larger animals. That is true, and you could have found that on page 18. All food chains include plants. That was false. You can find that on page 18. Lastly, when a spider's egg sac opens, 2 tiny spiders emerge. That is false. You can find that on page 16. Hopefully you guys got them.
Woo!
For your journal entry, the first thing you're going to do is summarize the chapter Food Chains. Remember that a summary includes a topic sentence, at least 3 main details, and then a conclusion sentence. And after you're done with your summary, you're going to choose 3 of the vocabulary words and define them in your own words using complete sentences.
Okay, and for some extra practice, use those clever passwords, email and passwords that your teacher sent you on Monday. Get on iReady, work for at least 20 minutes, and you can get on iExcel and go to 3rd grade ELA lessons in .1 and II.8, and we can see what you're doing. So we're watching. Bye, love you.
Bye.